Since many of you are diving into the world of creative writing right now, let's talk about tips and tricks for developing your skills as an author. And today we'll focus on imaginative writing. Some students love imaginative writing and find it so much easier to write a short story than a formal, structured essay. But some students find creative writing incredibly difficult because there is no one correct way to write a story. The point of creative writing is to find new and interesting ways to express yourself and your perspectives of the world, so the work you produce will be completely unique to you. If you're one of the many students who is slightly daunted by the idea of complete creative freedom in your writing, and you're looking for a bit of guidance on where you're actually supposed to start, this video is for you. Coming up with an idea and a plan for your story. Firstly, quality story writing, particularly for Unit 3, begins with having a quality analysis of your mentor texts. So as you read through your texts and analyze them in class, you'll start by discussing all of the conventional things, like the author's use of language techniques and devices. All of that will be very important to take note of. But as you discuss some of the ideas or themes explored in your mentor text or in your thematic framework, I want you to consider and take note of all of your own thoughts, ideas, and opinions about these topics. So, did you relate to or resonate with some aspect of the story? What about the author's ideas do you disagree with? Jot all of it down, because the more you take note of your thoughts as you go, the easier it will be for you to develop your creative ideas in connection with the framework. Next, when it comes to ideating and coming up with creative ideas for your writing, there are a few strategies that you can keep in mind. If you really truly don't know where to start, try this. Write a list of everything you care about. That could be as broad or as specific as you like. It could be sport, music, video games. It could be a particular political or social justice issue that matters to you. It could be important people or experiences in your life that have shaped you in some way. Write out in dot point form everything that sparks a sense of passion within you, because all of the best pieces of writing are about topics that the authors are evidently passionate about. Once you've got that list, think about ways you could turn some of those dot points into concrete narrative ideas, with characters or some idea of a complication or a resolution. I'll give you an example. I have a student working on the Writing About Protest framework. One thing she really cares about is sport, and she knows a lot about the gender pay gap in sport. So from that broad starting point, she was able to construct a narrative about young athletes protesting gender inequality in the club sport environment. So starting from a topic that she was really interested in, we were able to find our way into the themes of the Writing About Protest framework. Now, some of your dot points will be better suited to be creative inspiration than others, but whether or not you turn all of your dot points into concrete narrative ideas or fully fleshed out stories, having a backlog of ideas is incredibly helpful. When it comes time to write in your exams, you'll have a backlog of ideas that you can draw from and adapt to your prompts, and you know there'll be topics that you're familiar with and interested in. Once you've landed on an idea that you really want to write about, it's time to come up with a plan for your narrative. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see students make, and a mistake that I have made so many times myself, is underestimating how much time it will take you to fully tell your story and developing ideas that are just too elaborate to delve into in the span of a short story. You don't need to come up with an idea for a full-length novel, super complex narrative world, nuanced characters, a tense complication and a surprising twist at the end. You just won't be able to do your ideas justice. Be selective with your story plan, focus on the key moment or scene that your story centers around, and cut out anything that isn't necessary for making your point. Make sure once you've come up with a plan for your narrative that you're really clear on how it links in with the ideas of your framework and your mentor texts. Personally, I would just get a little bit too enthusiastic during the planning stage, and I would sometimes diverge from the original concept a bit too far. So just before you dive into writing your story, make sure you could clearly explain how it relates to your mentor texts. Okay, let's talk about writing. You've got your plan, it's finally time to start putting pen to paper. Here are some tips and tricks you can keep in mind when writing your first draft. Firstly, start your story in the middle of the moment. Ask yourself, what's happening in this story? What's my complication? And then start your story in the middle of or right before all of the action starts happening, rather than slowly working up to the action. So instead of beginning your story by saying, I woke up, I had a shower, I got ready, I went downstairs and had some brekkie, then I got on the bus and headed to the soccer field to get ready for my game. It would be a lot more interesting for you to start your story right before the character runs onto the field. My heart is pounding in my face and my legs are bouncing from all of the adrenaline. Not only will that grab your reader's attention and make your writing far more engaging, but at the end of the day, it will keep your story concise and focused on your storyline. Secondly, we have all heard our English teachers use the phrase, show, don't tell, 1,000,001 times before. But what does that actually mean? I like to think about this as zooming into the little details, because it's the little details that give us context clues and show us the bigger picture. So when you're writing, rather than thinking about explaining the overarching narrative or what's happening in the plot to your reader, think about zooming in to the moment that you're writing about and interrogate and visualize exactly what that moment looks and feels like to your character. If your character is rich, rather than telling us that they're rich, tell us about how their silk bed sheets feel on their skin, or how their marble countertops glisten in the sun. If they're poor, tell us about the holes in their socks that they can't afford to replace, or their daily worry that their old rundown car won't start when they have to leave for work. If your character is tired, tell us about what that tiredness feels like. Their limbs feel heavy, or their eyes glass over. If your character is happy, maybe they're reflecting on the beautiful weather or the mild breeze that pleasantly sweeps through their hair. But if they're sad or frustrated, maybe they're thinking about how the biting winds of winter chill them to their core, or the thick blanket of dark clouds that lowers the sky in on them. Good writing tends to use these little details to give us all of the context we need about the story in a much more engaging way, because it allows your readers to visualize your narrative world. Next, consider grey areas. Some of the best writing explores the complexities or nuances of life or the human experience. And I know that's so broad, but what I mean by that is that characters that are complex or nuanced can be really interesting to read about because they're realistic. If your narrative concludes in a way that isn't necessarily the happy ending that everyone was expecting, your story might be more memorable or captivating than one that was more predictable. Don't limit yourself to traditions or tropes. Don't think you have to make your characters likable. Find new, interesting ways to shape your storyline. Lastly, but crucially, think about your use of language techniques or devices. Definitely consider the use of language techniques in your mentor text. Think about how you could adapt those to suit your own story. The aim of most language techniques is to make storytelling more impactful or emotionally evocative, or to create visuals in the mind of the reader, so definitely don't overlook them. Okay, let's end by talking about what not to do in your writing. There's a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, don't rush your story along. Take your time with it. If you introduce a new scene, a new setting, new character, or a new moment in the story, give yourself the time to develop that moment and give your readers the chance to visualize it before you move on to the next thing. Secondly, don't overcomplicate your language for effect. Sometimes simple and straightforward language is incredibly impactful. It's much more important to focus on your expression of ideas than to just have the biggest vocabulary out there. Thirdly, and finally, it was all a dream. Don't do that. Unexpected endings can be wonderful, but they should be done with caution and care. Your ending might be a surprise, but it should still make sense within your story. Ideally, you've subtly foreshadowed it throughout your story. So, I want to know, what do you find difficult about creative writing? Drop me a comment and let me know if you have any other questions about how to approach the creative writing area of study this term.